Hey, what's going on, everybody? Glad you're all here to see me babble again. Actually, I'll try not to babble too much. But first of all, just want to say thank you to everyone that has been subscribing and watching and liking this channel so far. It's only been, I don't think, even 2 weeks, and there's like 83 subscribers already. And that to me is amazing because I really just never expected that. But it's very cool. So, if you haven't subscribed, please do. If you haven't hit the like button on the video that you like, hit like. So this next little episode is probably not for a lot of people because a lot of people already know all the stuff I'm going to say. But it is about track ballasting. And the reason I'm doing this video is for the most part, I am involved with some Facebook groups in this hobby, and I'm involved with a couple groups that have a lot of newcomers to the hobby, or people that have only been in it for a year, or just very new at things. And I know there's probably 1 million videos out there on how to ballast track. But anyhow, when people have a question or they come up with problems while doing it, they post it on these Facebook groups. And if I see it and the question hasn't already been answered, I'll sit down and type about 8 paragraphs on how to ballast track. I don't know if sometimes maybe that gets lost in the in the words, or in the written word. So it's kind of a lot easier just to show you how I do it. This isn't the only way to do it, but it's my way. So, and it works for me. So I'm one of those people that learn by seeing. I got to see what you're talking about. You can write all you want and put it in a post, and I'll get halfway through it and don't know what you're talking about. So it's, at least for me, I'm not saying all the time, sometimes. I don't know what you're talking about, but it's a lot easier to see it and see it being done, and I'll explain it on the way throughout the video on how I do it. But first of all, before we get started, I got to move some rail traffic out of the way. So I'll be right back. Okay, gathered up all my supplies I'm going to need for this little ballasting tutorial, I guess. First thing, I have a cup with some water in it. I have our ballast. I have a brush like that, a 1-inch foam brush, a fan brush, and a little flat brush. Also a scooper for my ballast, cup to put the ballast in, eyedropper. Spray bottle is just water with a few drops of dish detergent. Squeeze bottle is white glue and water. A lot of people use 50-50 mix. I think this is probably about 60-40, 60 water, 40 white glue. You can use pretty much any white glue for this. It's fine. Elmer's. I use a generic brand of Elmer's. And what do I have here? Oh, just a little watered down glue. I also want to talk about the ballast real quick. This is Woodland Scenic's fine ballast, fine gray. It's what's commonly referred to as N-scale ballast, even though I model an HO. This is what I use, and the reason being because the medium ballast from Woodland Scenics, which is called HO ballast, is a scale way too big. If you want to look at this guy and look at, oops, that rock there, that's one piece of medium gray ballast. And it is as big as this guy's face. Oh, I don't know about you, but I never saw ballast as big as my face along any railroad tracks. But who knows? They say there's a prototype for everything. Anyway, the N scale ballast is fine scale. Might be a little too small. So something maybe between the two of these would be better, but I don't have any. So this is what I use. And once it's on there, it looks really good regardless. So that's the stuff. Let me get it together and hauled over to where we're going to be doing this little project. Okay, I got all my stuff together and put it on this handy dandy cart. And the cart's handy dandy because I have a rather large layout, and when I'm doing scenery work, it's nice to be able to just roll it along with me instead of setting stuff all up over top of the layout on the floor, have to walk from one end of the basement to the other to retrieve something I need. I can just have it all within arm's reach and ready to go. This cart I got at Michael's for $30. It was a $50 cart, but I'm signed up for their email alerts and I got a 40% off coupon. I usually get those a lot. They come like every week now to my inbox. So it's a nice thing to have. Highly recommended. I had another one and it was top heavy in plastic and it didn't roll right and caused catastrophes. And I hated it. So I'm going to love this one. Well, sorry about the lighting if this isn't the greatest. This transition, yeah, I can talk, area doesn't really have an overhead light on it at this point. I might have to add one. But you can tell it kind of washes out, like say the rails that are rusty rails that I painted. They look rusty in real life, but on the screen here they look like pumpkin orange or something weird. But anyhow, that's just the lighting. I think it's good enough that you can at least see what we're doing. We're talking about ballast anyhow. You see the track has been, I pinned my track down instead of glue it. A lot of people glue it on. And I pin it down just because it's very easy to remove if I have to. But I get the ballast on, and then once all the glue is set and so forth, I go back and remove these little nails. They're little wire brads. I can go pop them back out of there. So what we're going to do first, I'll show you just how I do a little section here. Pour myself some ballast into a cup. What I'll do, I got my ballast in the cup. Whoa, shoot, I forgot a step. I back up. Sorry, don't mind me. That glue and water mixture I mixed up earlier. I put a little bit, just run a little bit around the outside of the edge here. That helps get it started. Get some of the ballast to stick up right away on there. That way the rest of it can just fill in over top. This is just thinned down white glue. No recipe. Just thinned it down a little thicker than milk maybe. Alright, I should do it. Now I got some of the glue on top of the ties. I don't need to worry about that. That'll come off in the cleanup period. But I take some of this ballast, I dump a little pile here right in the middle. Dump her on in. Start with that to begin with. I need a little more glue back here, I do believe. Alright, I got this foam brush. This works great. I hold it about like that. Put a little pressure on it. And just slide it on down. See some of that spilled out over the other side? Fine, perfect. I'm going to keep on doing this till I don't see any more on top of the ties in the middle there. Piece of fuzz or something. Get out of here. And another one. Where'd that come from? Alright. Takes a bunch of passes to get it all down. It doesn't have to be 100% perfect. I see stones laying on top of railroad ties all the time in the real world. But I don't want to pile on them. I don't care if there's a couple here and there. I'm not sure what that looks like in the screen. The way this lighting is, the ballast might look white or something, because it is a light gray. Alrighty, that's almost there. The middle is about done. A little bit more, just keep brushing it. I find if I use a paintbrush, I end up flinging the ballast all over the place. This kind of keeps it, at least in the general area where it's supposed to be. Alright. That's pretty good. Pretty darn good, I believe. Right in the middle. Now, I'm going to take some more of this, run it along the outside edge and down the beveled road bed to create that profile. I just dump it right on top, along the edge. Try not to dump it into where I've already put ballast, so I don't have to go back and rebrush it again, but that sometimes happens if I get a little clumsy. Alright, I'll do the same on this side. Ballasting is dreaded by a lot of people. They just hate it. I don't mind it as long as I work in small sections. If I have to ballast 100 yards of this stuff, I go nuts. So that's why I think a lot of people look at their whole layout and go, oh my God, this whole thing needs ballasted now. It's going to take me months. I just work in small sections at a time, a couple feet. I'll be sick of it after I get this little section done, and I'll go do something else. Come back to it the next day. I had to cut a chunk out of my sculptor mold right in this spot. It was too high. It looked funky, so I'm just going to fill it in. Alright. Alright, that's a start. I'm going to need to add a little more. That's where this fan brush comes in handy, is to get it off the tops of the ties. Just lightly brushing it down the side. might be, again, a couple of stray ones laying on top. No big deal. Ordinarily, I'd switch sides here because I'm right-handed, so I don't have the best angle on it at the moment. Coming over here. Yeah, some of that glue. See, it's sticking right to the tops of those ties. Not a big deal. Once it dries, I'll take a little bitty screwdriver and fling them off. So now I can tell. Now I'm going to look for this side here and getting the bevel on the edge. Getting that profile. And this cup is almost out. Hang on. Gotta fill her up. Anywhere I can see the road bed underneath, I gotta cover that up. Sometimes it only takes just a little bit. Now, if you absolutely hate doing this and you want to have something do it for you, there is ballast spreaders that people use. They just fill it up and push it along the track and it distributes the ballast. And I had one a long time ago. For some reason, I don't anymore, and it's probably because I didn't like it. That was eons ago. For whatever reason, I didn't like it. Alright, let's get this filled in here. Sorry if my head's in the way. I bet this is fun, like watching paint dry or something, watching me do this. Alright, that'll do for now. One thing I do is take my hand and use the meat of my thumb, and I kind of just gently press with that, and that helps to even out some of the bumpish looking profile. Kind of roll down just a little bit. Okay, first inspection, not too bad. One thing I did want to say about going back to those little track nails, wire brads that are holding the track in place, because I know somebody will have some kind of question about it. So once this ballast is soaked and glued, and I remove those little brads, this track is not going to go anywhere. It is going to not have any problems. There'll be no contraction or expansion problems with it in the future. All because I have a humidity and temperature controlled layout space. And once this glue is dried and the track is solid, it's just not going to budge. But if you have your layout in a garage or in a shed or attic or anywhere there's humidity and temperature changes, you can have your track contract and expand and come loose at the joints, and your trains don't run or derail. So in that case, I recommend that you do glue the track down instead of using these nails. That will Health matters for you. Ballast is on, so that's about a foot's worth on 2 different tracks here. Next step is to get this stuff secured. I got this handy dandy squirter bottle from the dollar store. Water and dish detergent, a few drops. Set to mist. What I'm going to do is let this stuff rain down on top. I'm not going to blast it. If I get down here and press squirt, I'm going to blow my ballast all over the place. We don't want that. We just want to get it slightly damp by just misting down from, I don't know, about 1.5 feet. Just letting it mist on there. Alright, now it's damp. I'm going to get in a little closer. Now I can spray it closer without having to go bring out the vacuum cleaner. Get this nice and wet. And what this does is break down the surface tension on the ballast. So when you apply your glue doesn't ball up and your ballast gets into a sticky, gloppy mess. You have to do this first. And you don't have to use water and dish detergent to do it. You can also use isopropyl alcohol. A lot of folks swear by that. I don't know, this is a little cheaper. So I saved 30 cents. Or $1. All right, that's good and wet. All right, now we got our 60-40 water to glue. Get some up in this here eyedropper. And I'm just gonna go right down the middle. It's kind of a crappy eyedropper. I think I have a better one somewhere. Or if I want to make it a little quicker, if I'm in a hurry, I can use this squeeze bottle. Oh, another dollar store gem. I just let it dribble out real slow. That's probably better than the eyedropper, to be honest. Use the eyedropper if I want to get in real close places, like around turnouts. I'm going around the outside, going the ends of the ties, starting to soak down. Gravity will take it down some. I'm going to add another line or two. Just like that. Let it soak on in. Let me get the rest of this glued up. And there we are, all saturated. I'm going to give it another squirt of the water and dish soap, just to help the glue just a little bit in case there's a spot that didn't get any. This will dilute it just a little bit to help it to run to where it needs to run and soak down in. All right. I'm going to leave this alone till tomorrow. We'll come back to it and we should be ready for the final steps. Okay, I'm hand holding this, so hopefully it'll be okay. Again, the light's kind of weird and makes the colors look a little strange. But anyhow, hard as a rock. Very nice. I have this little tiny screwdriver. So one thing I'm going to do is just go along each end of the ties and scrape some of this ballast off that ended up getting glued on top. Just like that. And then I'm going to go along the inside edge of the rails and give it a little run with the screwdriver, just in case there's little pieces of ballast that got stuck into the web of the rail and could cause issues for your rolling stock to traverse without derailing. So let me clean this up a little bit, and I'll take a little handheld vacuum and go over it and get these loose particles picked up that I'm scraping off, and we'll be back. Well, I went ahead, got that all cleaned up, got all the little bits of stone off the top of the ties that were here and there and everywhere. There might still be a couple laying around, but that's not a big deal to me. While I was at it, I went and pulled up the little wire brad nails that were holding this track down. Like right there, right there, right there. You can see the holes still. What you could do is take a little bit of putty or maybe some lightweight spackling on the end of a toothpick and fill in those holes, and then just go back and repaint. And I'll probably end up doing that at some point, but not today. Next thing I want to do to it is darken this ballast up a little bit, because I know, like I said about 10 times already, this light is really screwy here. And I also need to rectify that situation. What I'm going to do is take some alcohol and India ink, which I poured into here. It's a mixture. It's a darker mixture. Like, I can't give you the ratio off the top of my head. It's probably a couple tablespoons to a pint of alcohol. But I'm going to take this stuff. This is some old brush. That's the wrong one. Some nasty old brush needs thrown out. Just going to brush this over top of the ballast. And it dries real quick. You see how it, if you can see, I can't see what you see at the moment, but it is darkening it. I'm going to go down the middle of the tracks and over top of the ties. Just adds another additional little layer of color to the ties as well. Brush that in real good, here and there and everywhere. Oh, sorry, I bumped my tripod. And this just adds a little bit of darker shade, which is what I'm after. You might like it as it is, straight out of the bottle, that color. That's fine. There's a million different shades of ballast out there, depending on what kind of rock is used to make it in the real world. Drip it on in there. Yeah, it'll soak and totally dry in about 10 minutes. There we go. Basically, the only other thing I got to do will be to clean the rails. Clean out with some mineral spirits. Clean them off really good. Make sure we got good electrical continuity going on. And this is all ready for detailing, this is the entrance to a tunnel portal, so I'll have to put telltales on either side of the rails somewhere, maybe about here. I had lots of weeds and grass and some more dirt in between here. Some oil spills on the tracks themselves, discarded ties, discarded pieces of rail, trash, weeds, and all that, along with doing the landscaping itself. The edges of the ballast, if you can lift up, I mean, they're not exactly uniform, and that's fine because this is a short line railroad. It's not super well taken care of. But I will try to even it up a little bit by edging the grass and dirt in along the edge here. to make it look a little bit more uniform. But other than that, folks, that's all I got. Okay, that track is tested. Seems to work fine. Let's give this track a try. Make sure that is in good shape as well. There we go. Perfection. So that's that. Got 1 foot of track ballasted. Well, 2 tracks. So I got more. I got to finish up the other side there to get it to lead back into the finished layout room. And I guess I'll do that today for the heck of it. And thanks for coming by. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks for liking. If you're an old hat in this hobby, you probably knew every single thing I already told. So if you stuck through it, thanks. But if you're fairly new and have never done ballasting before, and I saw another post this morning, somebody asking, how do I do ballast? Okay, so putting this out there and hope you learned something. Again, this is my way of doing it, and it's not the only way. And there's lots of other videos about how to ballast track already out there. But here I am, figured I'd do it while I needed to get some ballasting done. So thank you very much, and you guys have a good upcoming weekend.